Hello everybody, welcome to the Redmen TV. You are watching the Liverpool Loan Show with me, Ben Kelly. Those who weren't here last week, I'm a journalist, I'm a social media contributor at Redmen, and now I'm doing this show, so we'll just get right into it. We'll start with Ryan Kent, who made his first start for Freiburg this week, away at Bayern Munich. They got thumped 5-0 and Ryan Kent got 66 minutes worth of game time. Now, obviously, it wasn't a good result for the team. It wasn't a particularly outstanding performance from him, but what we have to see here is the fact that he's getting game time, he's getting a start in a game of magnitude like Bayern Munich, and that's really good news for us. So we'll move on across Germany to Origi, who's playing for Wolfsburg, as we all know. They're back from the international break like every other German team. Wolfsburg played by Leverkusen away from home. They drew 2-2, and Origi scored. He was possibly at fault for their goal. They went 1-0 up at a corner, and his man seems to get away in the box, and he's not really tracking him very well, but then he makes up for it just before half-time with a brilliant header. One of the things, really, that may have contributed to him to going out on loan this summer was the fact that Dom Solanke, who came in, had a bit more about him in the air, and if Origi's making progress in that aspect of the game, then that is great, good for him. So we'll move on to Conor Randall, who's on loan at Hearts. He had a bit of a naff week up in Scotland. He did start the game, but not only was he at fault for their goal, which was a pretty naff piece of defending, he comes in and he just fails to clear it, and they bury it. He was sent off as well for 2 bookings, which is just epitomises just a poor week for him. Navigator didn't particularly have the most eventful of games. He was taken off at half-time. He was booked after 15 minutes, which may have had an impact on the decision to bring him off, I assume, because obviously he's been sent off already this season for club and country. They're classed as an attitude problem. There seems to be some kind of issue between him and the manager of RB Leipzig, which will be interesting to see how that develops, because we are due to sign him on the 1st of July, which, by the way, is a new feature of the show that I'm going to call the Cater Countdown. Christmas comes early in 2018 on the 1st of July, which is when Naby Keita is scheduled to sign for Liverpool. However, the issues that he's having at Red Bull, perhaps the attitude problems, the discipline problems on the pitch, getting booked, getting sent off, that could have an effect, and we could end up signing in January, which would just completely mess up this entire feature that I've got going. It's going to be great. It's going to be every week. A little bit of contract news when it comes to the unders. Ben Woodburn, as some of you may have heard, turned 18 yesterday, and he is potentially going to sign a new long-term deal with the club, which I think is fantastic news. We have so many young players who are coming through all the time, and it's good to show a bit of faith in them by offering long-term contracts. The last one we sort of did it with was Raheem Sterling, and, you know, despite what we think of Raheem Sterling, he's having a good career wherever he is now, and that's because we showed faith in him when he turned 18, we offered him a contract, and he blossomed from there, really, and I think it's probably a really good idea to tie down Ben Woodburn to a longer contract. We'll move on to the under-18s. They haven't played since the game I talked about last week, the Burnley friendly at Melwood, which they won 4-1. They're top of their league on goal difference in their UEFA League Cup group, despite they lost to Spartak Moscow in the last fixture the same day that we played Moscow away. However, in the opening day, they did something we failed to do and beat Sevilla comfortably at home. They won 4-0, so they're looking really good. Obviously, Steven Gerrard knows all about European competitions, wants to do well in the competition, so hopefully it's a competition really that they can really push on and look to do well in this season. Brewster is currently out with England at the Under-17 World Cup in India. They've got through their group completely undefeated. Brewster scored an excellent free kick against Mexico in a 3-2 win for England. Honestly, it was a bit like Trent Alexander-Arnold, except he's right-footed and he sort of curls it in the same corner, you know, against Hoffenheim. He's the only player that we've got at the moment in this Under-17s World Cup squad, and look, he's looking really positive. He's leading their line. He really is. And actually, there's a picture of him after he scores that free kick where he runs over to the corner and he does this like arms cross thing, and it looks like it's like comparisons to Kylian Mbappe, which is probably me getting ahead of myself, but he does look very similar. Like, there's definitely comparisons to be drawn. We'll move on to the Liverpool Ladies. They played Sheffield United Ladies on Wednesday. That was their last Wednesday, and they in the Continental Cup. and won 6-0. Continental Cup as in it's sponsored by Continental Tyres, it's not a European thing. The format for the competition is a funny one. The competition begins with a group stage comprising 4 groups of 5 clubs split geographically. If the result of a group match is drawn after 90 minutes, the match will go straight to penalties. The top 2 clubs in each group advance. So there's no draws. That wasn't an issue for the Sheffield United game. They comfortably got through that one. Other than that, though, in the league, they haven't had a particularly great start to the season. Their very first game, they beat Everton 2-0. But since then, they've lost 1-0 away to Chelsea and 3-0 at home to Reading. Yeah, they didn't really turn up. And, it's early days in the season. They're third from bottom. But we all know that we've got a very good ladies' side. And hopefully it's another successful season for them. So that's everything for this week, for this week's roundup. Thanks very much for watching. If there's anything that you think's worth discussing for next week, let us know in the comments. Follow me on Twitter at BenKelly_10. Subscribe to the Redmen TV. And we'll be back again next week with more Loan Watch.